Welcome back to my show. Woo!
Letters to Lucie.
Welcome to episode 2 of Letters to Lucie, where I read your letters out loud and respond verbally however I see fit. And we're back for another episode where I'm going to read some of your questions and give you advice. Whoop! If you're new here, be sure to click on the little subscribe button down there in the corner and give this video a thumbs up if you're excited to hear some letters. I'm here in my bedroom with my laptop once again, because I live here. We're back with another series of letters, this time pertaining to grades, high school, and overall self-confidence. I'm gonna open up my email and I'm gonna get started with the first letter. Dear Lucie, I'm Jaden and I'm a 9th grader attending high school in Georgia. I'm very empathetic, artistic, and open-minded. Lately, I've been having a hard time not defining myself by the grades I get. Today, I got my first B, and I cried and cried. I know it's silly, but I've always been a hardworking, straight-A student, so for me to get a B in anything other than an AP class is tough. I'm not sure what I need help with, but maybe just knowing how to deal with that sadness. Thank you so much. You're such an inspiration to me and many others. Sincerely, Jaden. Jaden, hi. All right, the first thing I want to say to you, Jaden, is, I don't know why that's so dramatic. The first thing I want to say to you, Jaden, is that getting good grades can be very satisfying and very exciting, but at the same time, getting good grades doesn't necessarily say something about you as a person. There are plenty of people out there who are really smart and who are going to be really successful in your lifetime in whatever job they pursue, but maybe right now they're literally failing out of school. So it's definitely true that getting good grades does not mean you're going to be a wildly successful person in life. But on the complete opposite side of the coin, I am a proponent of the fact that getting good grades can sort of say something about you and your abilities. And maybe that's just your abilities to adapt to the way a certain teacher teaches, or your ability to memorize and intake information. Whatever it is, the fact that you're getting good grades is great and could actually translate to you doing well in a future job. But what you should know is that even though it's really tough for you to wrap your brain around this right now when you're in the thick of high school, one day these grades just won't matter at all. You actually probably won't remember what grade you got on anything, except for maybe this one B that you've emailed me about. One thing that helped me get through it if I maybe got a bad grade on something in high school was trying to remind myself how one tiny grade on one test doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. So if you think about it, your grade for the semester is based on a whole bunch of tests. And then even once you get that semester grade, you still have multiple semesters of the class before you get your final grade. And then, even once you get your final grade, you still have other years that factor into your total overall GPA. I also see from your letter that you're a 9th grader, which if your school system is the same as mine, means that you're just starting high school right now. You're at a prime time right now in 9th grade where you can really set the stage for how your stress is going to be around grades moving forward. If you think 9th grade is a stressful time, wait until you're a junior and you're getting all the same stress about these classes, but you're applying to college at the same time. So I'm not trying to stress you out with that statement. I'm just trying to say right now is the prime time for you to reorient yourself and figure out what your mindset is going to be about grades and really try your hardest to not let one bad grade bog you down. And now on to the next letter. Hi Lucie, I'm 14 and live in Boulder, Colorado, and have been watching you for about 2 years now. Next year I'm going to be starting high school and I need some advice on some things that helped you with studying and things that helped you stay focused. Also, I'd like to stay anonymous. From Alright, the thing that really came in handy for me when it came to staying organized in high school was my agenda. Now my school gave us agendas, and if I look back, close my eyes, and remember what this thing looked like, it was so colorful, it was so organized. The colorful aspect of it was mainly just for me to get out my creative stuff, but the real perk of this agenda was in the organization. I remember whipping this thing out in class and writing copious notes inside of it of every assignment I had to do that night for homework, even going forward some pages in the calendar to write down every quiz, every test, every essay due date, making sure I was staying on top of things, and even backtracking to make sure that before a quiz, say a week before, I would study for the quiz. So if you don't have an agenda or some sort of organization system, start one now. So you need some advice on studying. I think I was pretty good at studying, and here's what I would do. Say I was copying information from a textbook and trying to memorize it for a quiz. I would take the textbook and then I'd take a blank sheet of paper and I would essentially transcribe information from the textbook onto the paper in a note-taking format in a way that made sense to me, was clear and concise. I would essentially write down any key dates, key names, key themes, facts, anything I needed to know. And then once I was done putting all the information from here into here, I would take the textbook, close it, move it off to the side, and then this study sheet would be my golden ticket. I would read it, I would reread it, I would memorize it, I would talk it through with friends. Sometimes I think the best way to study and to actually learn something is to tell yourself that you need to learn it so well that you can teach it to someone else. And maybe having a study partner, that might be helpful so that you guys can go back and forth teaching the topic to the other person. One other tip that I found really helped, which truthfully, I don't know if this is science or just a Lucie thing, but if I had a study sheet, I would read it right before I went to bed. Right before I went to bed. Not before I watched a show and then went to bed. It's the moment before you go to bed. And then you turn the lights off, close your eyes, go to sleep, and more often than not, I would wake up and all of the information would be in my head because I had just read it before I went to sleep. Sometimes I would even put the textbook under my pillow as I slept, and I would absorb the information that way as I slept. Not sure about the science behind that one, but definitely the first method I find is really helpful. And the last study tip I'm going to give you is to start preparing as early as you can. So don't procrastinate and wait until the night before a test to start cramming all the information in your head. It's not going to be pleasant. I would always start studying for quizzes and tests at least a week before if I could, because I felt like not only did it help me learn all of the information a little bit better and let it soak in over time, but it also made it so I was a little bit less stressed the night before. All right, next letter. Hello, Lucie Fink. I am a high schooler, freshman from New Jersey, who adores watching your videos. In my free time, I like to play my ukulele, paint, and sing. You're constantly inspiring me to go out of my comfort zone and try new things. I would love some advice for being a high schooler or teenager in general. It's not as easy as I anticipated. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to remain anonymous. Thank you. First of all, you seem awesome. Ukulele, painting, and singing. We should be friends. Number two, I get it. It's really not easy being a teenager. It's a very confusing time. There can be a lot of drama going on, a lot of gossiping, a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, and your body's changing at the same time. So I feel you. You sound so open-minded and creative. I don't know if you even need this advice, but since you're asking, I'm gonna give you my biggest tip, which I try to give to every teenager that I come across. And that tip is be kind. I know that in high school, especially for girls, we can get sucked into this gossip and this drama and putting others down to make us feel better about ourselves and joining cliques and saying mean things, and it can be a zoo out there. My theory is that most people who were mean in high school will realize later in life that that was wrong of them, and they'll probably feel really bad about it and stress about it in their adult life somehow. So a lot of people do eventually come around to the idea that it's not cool to be mean. So for you being a freshman in high school right now, my best advice for you is, if you haven't already come to this realization, come to it right now. Realize that it's really cool to be nice, and it's really not cool to be mean. Next letter. Hey Lucie, before I get started, I just want to let you know that I'd like to remain anonymous. You got it, dude. I'm from Australia, and I've just finished with grade 7, and I'm going into grade 8 next year. In Australia, grade 7 is when you start high school, so it's been quite the year. A lot of ups and downs. I've gone through depression, anxiety, and just a lot of other mental things. The questions that I have are: 1, how could I deal with anxiety when it happens at school without gaining attention? 2, how do I become more confident in myself? 3, and lastly, how do I deal with friends who just aren't real? I hope you see this. Regards. The first thing that pops out to me about your letter is the words depression, anxiety, and just a lot of other mental things. I want to make it very clear, as I've mentioned on other episodes of Letters to Lucy, that I myself am not a mental health professional and I'm not pretending to be at all. So I don't want my response to your letter to come in place of you seeking out professional help. I definitely think that, especially if you're just entering high school and you're feeling like you're experiencing depression and anxiety, speaking to a professional is definitely your best bet at this stage. Your first question, how to deal with anxiety without gaining attention for it. I'm assuming you mean by that if you're having a panic attack in class, you don't want the whole class to know that you're having a panic attack. Yes? My advice to this would be to practice some breathing exercises that help lower your heart rate and calm you down. Practice them at home and know that you can always return to them. If you're feeling anxious at school, you can always just breathe quietly and calmly, and hopefully you won't have that crazy panic attack. If you are experiencing panic attacks, you should probably speak to a professional who can definitely help you deal with that and give you some real actionable steps that you can do. Number 2, how do I become more confident in myself? I think a lot of teenagers experience a lack of self-confidence, and my personal take on it is that when you don't feel confident in yourself, a lot of times it's because you just don't know yourself. And I know you're probably sitting there being like, well, of course I know myself. I've lived with myself for 14 years, so I know everything that there is to know about myself. But ask yourself honestly, how much time have you spent just sitting with yourself? And not sitting at home alone on your computer, or sitting and watching a Netflix show, or sitting and scrolling through Instagram. I mean, sitting alone, being quiet, letting yourself think, asking yourself how certain things make you feel. How much time have you spent doing that? Most people don't spend nearly enough time sitting with themselves, and I'm not even talking about meditating, sitting like this with your eyes closed, breathing and thinking. I'm just talking about sitting, giving yourself a moment to stop being attacked by the stimuli of the world and really get to know, who am I? What do I actually like? What types of people do I gravitate towards? What do I want to do in the world? Those are the kinds of questions I'm talking about, and once you give yourself time to actually sit and get to know who you are, you'll feel a lot more comfortable in your own skin, and I think that will translate to confidence in the outside world. Which leads me to question 3, how do I deal with friends who just aren't real? If someone's not real, I would say it's probably not worth your time and attention to try to be best friends with that person. And this doesn't mean you have to be mean or totally cut them out of your life, but just identifying that someone's not real is a good start, and from there maybe you can just stop investing so much of your energy into this friendship. Next letter. Hi Lucy. My name is Morgan. I'm fine with you using my name. I'm a freshman in high school. One of the biggest struggles I have is stress. I am a very stressful person, and in so, taking honors classes has not helped. What can I do to reduce that stress or just be able to enjoy my time more instead of being worried all the time? I would like to be able to be more enjoyable and not always stressed. Thank you so much. I look up to you so much, and I'm very grateful for you because you are an amazing leader. Hi Morgan, I am totally with you. I too experienced a lot of stress in high school, and the way that I was always able to get myself out of that stressful moment, whether it was due to school or friend drama or whatever it was, I would sit and I would think, wow Lucy, you're stressed about this right now, but in 5 years, all of these people that are sitting around you in this class are gonna scatter across the country, go to different colleges, start different lives. Everyone's gonna move on, the world is gonna keep happening, and what's happening in this very moment is really not gonna matter anymore. And I know that's kind of contradictory to the whole live in the moment thing that I always push, but that is one way that has really helped me overcome stressful situations. Sometimes if you're in the thick of something, it's not that smart to stay present and stay stressed about it, but it's better to just allow your mind to realize that this too shall pass. So if you're a very stressed out person who constantly feels like you're worried all the time and you're not enjoying the moment, take some time and just think about the fact that you have so much more of your life to live after high school. So when I was in high school, there was a lot of drama with the girls that I was friends with, and I remember just thinking, I am not going to be friends with these people down the line. So right now, I should just be nice, have a good time, enjoy myself, but not put too much pressure on this because none of this is gonna matter. It's not really about pulling yourself out of the moment and living in the future so much as it is about remembering that you can just enjoy the moment because the future is coming. I hope that makes sense. If you feel like you're stressed out and worried all the time and you're not enjoying the moment, try doing more things that you love that really help you enjoy the moment. If you love sports, play more sports. If you love to paint, paint more. Whatever it is you love to do, find it and then do it mindfully. Also try some mindful walking or meditation, because all of these practices, in addition to helping you ground in the present moment and maybe enjoy things a little bit more, can help you reduce the stress that you're feeling. And that's it! If you have any questions and want advice, please email your letters to lucie@luciefink.com and potentially I'll shout you out in a future episode. Sending so much love from right here in New York to all of you around the world. I love you forever and always. Sealed with a kiss.
Letters to Lucie.
Hey YouTube, thanks for watching. Click here for another episode of Letters to Lucie and here to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye!